Yeah, hi, it's Tilda from the Ori Mill and welcome back to my sock knitting tutorials. This is part 4 where we will be knitting the heel gusset. You can see we've just turned the heel, so it's now time to pick up stitches on either side of the heel flap so we can get that gusset started. So yeah, let's get started. So before we start picking up at the side of the heel flap, we want to slip the stitches from the front over to just one needle, so we have one needle with 30 stitches. So slip your stitches purlwise so you don't accidentally start knitting them twisted. So from the back to the front. And now we have a needle sitting at the front with 30 stitches, and that needle should hold 30 stitches as we're knitting around constantly until we get to the toe shaping. It's on the needles that's sitting at the back of the foot that we will be decreasing when we're shaping the gusset. So let's get started with the picking up. So the way to pick up the stitches is to take one of the 3 double pointed needles, and then you want to pick up in the edge loop of your slipped stitches. So go in from the front to the back and then down to the next slip stitch. So it's just the edge loop you're looping onto your needle, and so it's important that you slipped your edges properly and you haven't missed any. That will make it a bit harder to pick the stitches up this way. So yeah, your edge loop tend to kind of twist in, so it's important to really make sure that you get the right loop. It takes a little bit of practice, but when you get the hang of it, it's actually becomes much easier. Yeah, practice makes perfect. I also pick up that wee strand that goes between the last slip stitch and the next stitch here. So now you can see I got 16 loops on my needle, and I will then swing my work round. Make sure you don't drop any stitches, and I will do the same. Take another double pointed needle, and then I'll pick up the strand in between the needles. I'm not doing the one where it slipped the first, so again pick up the edge from the front to the back. You could do it from the back to the front as well, but I just find it easier from the front to the back. When you picked up the second one, just check you got the same number of loops on this needle. Yes, and I got 16 here as well. So now it's time to start the knitting. We're going to knit a full round before we start any decreasing. So start by slipping your first stitch purlwise. This is right under the foot, and knit across all the stitches on this needle. You're using your 5th double pointed needle. So now we are at the first needle with all the picked up stitches, and we want to knit them kind of normally. So in from the front here. If they're feeling a little bit tight, try and use your needle to pull them up, and then pop your needle in and just knit it. It needs to be a little bit tight. We are twisting the stitches, so This is to avoid any gaps, any big holes. You can see we're actually getting quite nice and neat, tightened up stitches down here. Another advantage of picking up your stitches this way and knitting them this way is that on the other side you're not getting any ridges. If you were going in underneath the stitch and pulling a stitch out, as you're doing many other pick-up situations, you're actually going to get a small ridge, but this way we avoid it completely. So yeah, it should feel a little bit tight, so just take your time when you're doing this first row. And if you're finding it difficult to just get in the first instance, yeah, just pull your stitch up with the needle, hold on to the stitch from the back with your index finger so it doesn't slip anywhere, and then just knit it. And the last stitches can be a little bit tricky. I found that they are just a little bit tighter. This one in particular. And that is the first needle done with the picked up stitches. It looks very nice and neat. Then we get to the front of the foot, and we will just be knitting across this needle. And then we get to the last needle with the picked up stitches, and again the way we pick them up, the second leg lies, or sorry, the first leg lies behind the needle and the second leg lies in front of the needle, so we just need to knit them normally. So again, just pull up the stitch if it's too tight and knit it. So we're getting it twisted. It's really important these ones are twisted. If we don't knit them twisted, we'll get big holes. Now we have knitted a full round, and the middle of the foot now becomes our starter round. So let's just at this point drop that spare needle and just knit into the middle here. And then I'll pick up the empty double pointed needle and then start here. So we've now knitted a full round, and I'm going to put my fifth needle away and just keep knitting with the needle to my right into the middle underneath the foot, so that's 9 stitches. To make it a little bit easier, I'm going to slip those 9 stitches left on this needle over to my left needle. And then I have my stitches back on 3 needles. So if you turn around here, you're basically, this is needle 1, that is your right side of the sock. Needle 2 is the front of your sock, and then needle 3 is the left side of underneath your sock. Now we're going in to knit a 2 round repeat. So row 1 or round 1 is knit to 3 stitches before the end of needle 1. And here we want a right leaning increase or decrease, which is knit 2 together and knit 1. Now we get to needle 2, which is the front of our foot. We're always going to knit this one, so no decreases here. When we get to needle 3, we're going to knit 1, and then we're going to knit 2 together through the back loop. Here we want a left leaning decrease, and then knit to the end of needle 3, and then we've done a round. So that was round 1. Round 2 is basically just a knit round, no decreases at all. So now you'll repeat row 1 and row 2 until you get back to a total of 60 stitches all the way around. So there should be 15 on needle 1, 30 on needle 2 and 15 on needle 3. And when you get to that point, you just keep knitting until you're happy with the length of your sock. So repeat round 1 and round 2 until you have 15 stitches on needle 1. You'll keep your 30 stitches on needle 2 and then get to 15 stitches on needle 3. So you need to have a total of 60 stitches when you stop decreasing. So just a wee recap of row 1. You knit until 3 stitches before the end of needle 1, knit those 2 stitches together and knit 1. Then knit across all 30 without any decreases on needle 2, and when you get to needle 3 you knit 1, you knit 2 together through the back loop and knit the remaining stitches on needle 3. And again get to 60 stitches in total, so 15, 30 and 15 stitches. So when you reach the point when you have 15 stitches on needle 1 and needle 3, it's time to just knit in the round without any decreases. And now you want to knit the sock as long as is required. So if you are a size 3.5, 4 UK size, you want to knit 18.5 centimeter measured from the base of your heel. If you're a size 5 or 6, you want to knit until the sock measures 20 centimeters from this point. So that's how you do the heel gusset. If you want a more accurate measure of the length of your foot, take a measurement from the back of your heel out towards the tip of your toes and then deduct 5 centimeters from that number, and that's how long you want to knit your foot. Remember to measure again from the back of your foot. So if your foot measures 28 centimeters, deduct 5 centimeters from that, and that is 23. So you would knit until the foot measures 23 centimeters from this point here. And that was all from me in this episode. I'll be back to show you how to shape the toe in the next episode. Bye bye.